Okay, please rise for a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Today, we're going to be led in prayer by Reverend John Michael Oliver. Mr. Oliver.
Heavenly Father, we thank and praise you for this beautiful Wednesday that you've bestowed upon us in this great city of Warren for Trumbull County meeting. We thank and praise you for life itself. Bless everyone in their respective places. Bless the wisdom and the articulation of mind and speech to speak one mind and one body and one soul as we continue to move the vision of Trumbull County today. This we ask and pray in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend. Okay, our next workshop will be Tuesday, May 14th at 10:30 in this room. Our next regular meeting will be next Wednesday, May 15th at 10:30, also in this room. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Here.
Ms. Frenchco.
Here.
Mr. Malloy.
Here.
Item number 1 is to dispense with reading the minutes of the workshop session dated April 30th, 2024, and the regular meeting dated May 1st, 2024, and accept and approve the video recordings of both meetings as the official meeting minutes.
A motion to approve?
Second the motion?
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Because I still believe that the video ones are not correct, and until we're concluded in court, I'm voting no.
Item number 2 is to approve the bills.
A motion to approve?
Second that?
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item number 3 is to approve additional appropriations.
Motion to approve?
Second that?
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item number 4 is to approve transfer of appropriations.
Motion to approve?
Second?
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item number 5 is to receive the amended certificate of the County Budget Commission number 5-2024.
Motion to approve?
Second?
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item number 6 is to establish the creation of the Regional Prevention and Linkage to Care Collaborative Grant Service Fund, known as Fund 953, for use by the Trumbull County Combined Health District. The Trumbull County Combined Health District is receiving $100,000 in funding from the Summit County Public Health District. The grant period is from January 1st, 2024 to August 31st, 2024.
A motion to approve?
Second that?
Mr. Cantala Mesa.
Discussion. So, statutorily, the representative from the Board of Commissioners is the president of the board who serves on the health district. I'd just like to ask the president of our board why they are taking so long to submit these, or if you've done
They
anything.
just got this grant at the last meeting. It was brought up and voted on by their board to accept it. And then it's brought to us at the first meeting after that.
That's not correct. It's effective the first day of January, and it was actually signed in
Right.
February. So
Right.
it
And
was
now
signed-
they're creating the fund for it, which they had to bring in front of us, which they realized
it-
before they spend it, they have to put it in a new fund.
The point is, we need to make sure if we're representing the Board of Commissioners, if you're going there to represent us, I would appreciate it if you would make sure that they're doing things in a more timely fashion. Since they signed it in February, then it should have been brought to us at that point in time, once it was signed, or once the agreement was done. It's now May. That's too much time. That's something that other departments have been working on. And I would appreciate it if, on behalf of the Board of Commissioners, since you are statutorily the one who serves, if you could take a look at those things and make sure they're done correctly, or encourage them to be more timely.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item number 7 is to execute the 2024 application for Certificate of Coverage Annual Fee Assessment Statement for Trumbull County's petroleum underground storage tanks for the term July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025, and to authorize the Commissioner's Office to forward said application to the Petroleum Underground Storage Tank Release Compensation Board.
Motion to approve?
Second that.
Does anyone have a copy of the application?
Would you like me to have Shara Taylor bring a copy of it in?
It should have been included in our packet. It looks like the board is ready to vote on something without knowing what it is, because I didn't receive it.
Would you
uploaded.
like me to have Shara Taylor come in?
I think that we should have a copy of it to see to see it before we vote on it.
Mr. Cantala Mesa?
Yeah.
Yes.
You guys are voting on it without even knowing how
We
it's filled out.
discussed it at the workshop.
Yes, I'm totally fine with it.
Which way is it being filled out then? Can you let me know?
Move on, please.
No, I'm asking which way is it being filled out?
Commissioner, we're not gonna nitpick every little thing to waste time up here.
It's not.
As you
wasting
commonly
time.
do, we have 2 votes that to pass it or we don't. We're gonna call
How
the,
is it, my question is, how is it being applied for? There's 2 different fashions. One is with the $11,000 deductible and the other one is the $55,000 deductible. So you're executing an application without knowing how it's being applied for.
we should have
because we
been at
didn't
the,
receive it.
maybe you should have been at the workshop yesterday. You could have brought that up and
Maybe
sure what
you
you're
guys
talking
should
about.
actually think critically instead of just rubber stamping and ask these questions when they come before you. It was emailed to us a copy of the application, yet the application was blank. So how could you vote to approve something if you don't know how it's filled out?
I've discussed it with Sheriff Taylor personally, so I'm fine with it.
So which one is it? Which one are they applying for? Which deductible?
That's for you to know, Commissioner.
Well, you're.
You have to
voting
do
on
your
it.
homework.
So you're voting on
I
it.
know it. You don't.
You know it?
Unfortunately, yes.
Well, what is it? What are you
Commissioner,
voting?
I don't want to play these games. Either
You
vote
have
no
no-
or vote yes.
Because you have no idea what you're voting on, and that's a shame, Mauro.
It's a shame that you put this board through ridiculous measures that have no bearing on anything.
Reading what we vote on.
This is an application for a certificate of coverage. That's all it is.
An
And
application
you
has
are,
2
you are
different,
arguing about the minutia, something
It's
that has
not
no
my-
bearing on anything.
there's 2 different boxes to, which one?
So
is being
go
voted-
ask Shara and she will tell you.
It should have been denied then to our board because
Well, here's the
it
thing. If
has-
you're here during
as
regular
something is
working
submitted-
hours, you can ask the staff that's handling it,
as
as
something,
she's here right now.
as something is submitted.
And she's gonna let you know, and you had all week to do it.
No, as something is submitted, it's to have the application with it correctly, and it should have been rejected if it was uploaded incomplete, but you approved it anyway.
Not true.
This is Shara Taylor.
I have,
This is done every single year.
Right.
It's nothing new. This is not something, this is for insurance in case we have a spill.
so which
this
box-
is
It's just a
normal.
game,
You-
it's a
I-
show.
Which box is marked?
They're not filled out yet. I'm waiting for it. Would you like to go pull all the files for every single?
They're not filled out. So which?
It's not filled out.
Okay,
It's
so
not
which-
filled out just yet till it's approved for the president of the board to fill it out. I fill it out. He signs it.
It's for him to sign it, not.
no, it says to execute the
So
application.
which
It's given permission
To
for.
sign the application.
one? The
It's the 55,000.
55,000?
Yes.
Okay, so we should.
All you had to do was ask me.
That's all.
Submit
it.
it in that, with that writing, because the language, I'd like to amend it to say that it's to reflect that.
This
it's
is housekeeping. This is every single
Normal
year that we have to
administrative
have.
housekeeping.
It is. That's
And
exactly
we
what
just
it
want to
is.
put on a show to act like we're doing our due diligence for absolutely nothing. It's
This is
ridiculous.
Absolutely nothing.
We
Well,
have
she
to
puts
be
in
insured.
6 hours of work and makes $600 an hour for that work she puts in. She's trying to show her worth out of it.
Let's move on, please.
Thanks.
Okay, so again, I'm just making for clarification, I'm making, I want to amend it to reflect that the county is using the $55,000 option. Because if you're making the application, then it should be known. Two different ways, yes. In any application process that we do, whether it be a grant or anything, when we approve them, they're already executed, they're already completed. So we're voting on something that the application has already been completed. This is
No, the application hasn't been
That's
completed.
not been completed yet.
the paperwork is done for us to review what the application.
That's not
is.
what this is saying. That's not what the agenda item is saying.
Right, because this is done out of our office and the other departments actually do them and submit them correctly.
This is not what this is
Okay.
saying.
This is the way it has been put on historically.
That you voted
I
for in the
know how it
past.
works.
And last year, the same thing happened because.
And you voted for it.
Right, and we discussed it and that was part of the record.
Yes.
Okay.
Call the vote, please.
Okay.
Mr. Cantala Mesa voted yes. Mr. Malloy.
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Contingent upon it being filled out with the $55,000 deductible. Yes, and I just want to make sure that the record reflects that because it should have been on the agenda.
Item number 8 is to accept the resignation of Ms. Barbara Rogers from her position of clerical specialist with the Trumbull County Dog Kennel effective April 26, 2024.
Motion to approve?
Second the motion?
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
I just want to say it's really unfortunate. There wasn't an exit interview. I believe that there should have been an exit interview because there is an environment there that's not been very good.
There
We've
is a
got-
resignation letter. Did you read that?
I wasn't provided a,
Why didn't you call the dog warden when you saw it on the agenda?
are you stupid? I mean, I'm being dead ass
No,
serious.
I'm saying you're saying do the stuff. There's a resignation letter. It would
So-
tell you why there's no
so
exit
whenever-
interview. If
whenever-
you read it.
Whenever we get our agenda items, they're supposed to be uploaded with that information. Same with the one that came from Tacey. It was-
Commissioner, have
it
you
was
looked at
included.
any other county in the state's minutes when they do their agenda? Any of them? Because I will be torn. I'm going to 4 different counties over the next 4 weeks and I will bring back copies and show you their 1-page agenda and how they don't have any of that stuff.
Taking a show on the road, guys.
Yeah, to compare to what we
Okay.
do, to show that we do at least 5 times more work than any other county in our agenda items. And we are in more detail than any other county that adjoins us. And none of them have ever been audited and had an audit problem or had an issue.
Okay,
You want to create more and more and more and more paperwork. and We don't need to.
I think that it's very important. to
Read the
make sure
revised
that
code.
we're-
It's
we're
simple in what we
identifying-
have to do and how we have to write it up.
It's important to make sure that we're learning why people are leaving the county, the ones.
That was provided to us.
Yes, if you read the letter,
Okay.
I encourage you to get it.
Didn't get it uploaded. It should have been rejected without a letter.
So because you got it in your email, you're not going to read it? I don't understand.
We have a policy and a procedure now.
You're not going to read information that comes in an email.
It's gaslighting, sweeties.
I-
Please stop.
I'm just asking you.
Okay, so.
So all your
so
emails you're not going to read.
We have a new policy that says that when these are coming in through the system that's uploaded to our emails, it's supposed to have all of the attachments with it in one email, so we're not
Okay,
searching.
just so we're clear, you're not going to look at your
I'm not
emails.
done talking.
You're not going to look at.
I'm not done
If
talking.
you read
Stop
your
being
email,
a
you'll see the letter,
disrespectful
Commissioner.
It's very simple.
misogynist. So whenever these things are coming in, they're uploaded into a system where it includes everything associated with that
Correct.
agenda
It
item.
says
And there's
resignation letter will be
they're,
recorded in the journal. Resignation letter is there.
they're
with the app-
suppo-
with
they're
the
supposed to be
entry.
Just
rejected.
got to look for it,
Okay.
that's all.
Right.
Ms.
No.
Frenchco, your vote for item number 8.
Yes, and sadly, yes.
Item number 9, accept the resignation of Ms. Kayla Roof, telecommunicator in the Trumbull County 911 Department, effective May 1st, 2024.
Motion to approve?
Second that.
Mr. Cantala
Yeah, that's
Mesa.
another one that warrants some discussion. I mean, that was horrible what's going on over there. And I know that you were concerned about people not people not being able to take their vacations now this summer. And what happens is when you have situations where employees don't get disciplined, then we end up with hostile environments where people
Is that what you think the problem is?
I believe that if people don't get verbally warned, written up, if they're allowed to run amok, people need boundaries in their workplace and in society in order to cause them to know what's acceptable conduct. I've seen it here. It's in the commissioner's
seen it here.
office. We've seen it over in
There.
other departments where they are, people, there's favoritism that's played, depending on who you are, who got you your job. Or if you're not connected and you're a person who organically got hired, then you end up not having anyone fighting for you. And it's not right. We're losing good employees because they're not connected and because there's not
That
They
may
want
be one
discipline.
aspect of the thing, Commissioner. And if you'd have looked in this, I was there for 4.5 hours on Friday dealing with this,
Mhm.
talking to the employees personally. Where were you? And you're gonna cast judgment on this when you never looked into it? Get off your soapbox.
Well, I mean, her letter and her emails are open to anyone.
Right. Did you talk to her personally? Did you?
There have been other people who have left there over the years who I've talked to, and it's the same situation, this repeated. We've lost a lot of employees before you got here. There were people who you probably would have been happy to have there, but
We lost quite a few in this office since you got here also.
the most recent one that left because of the toxicity among the staff. She just wanted to do her job. Now she works at a doctor's office where she doesn't have to deal with this.
Casey.
Tacey McDonough, 911 director. The only thing I can say to speak to that is we made several attempts to try to keep Miss Roof as an employee. Sometimes there are environments in which everyone here in this room is aware, people don't have to like everybody you work with, but you do have to be an adult and act respectful and get along. At the end of the day, to speak to your discipline, we can't discipline people when you don't have an actual complaint and something can't be investigated. There were several conversations regarding behaviors, and at the end of the day, nobody wanted to follow through and take action and stand behind the complaint for us to do an investigation to those behaviors. What we do know is the lack of staffing that we are facing right now is a nationwide problem. It's not an excuse, but what that does do is it leads to, short tempers, behaviors, overworked, irritation. And at the end of the day, we're trying our best to recruit people. We've implemented the critical. We're hoping to put that out to a new batch of employees at this time or prospective employees to help us along with that. And supervision is lacking. We do need to hold people accountable for their behaviors, and I know we're taking steps to try to do that. But at the end of the day, we can't keep people here who don't want to be here. And I know we made every effort to try to solve those problems that were addressed and had several meetings with multiple employees. That being said, next week you will have another resignation of our our supervisor that was in training. She's chosen that she does not want to move forward. And you'll see in her resignation letter, she has much of the same concerns about how things are running. I know Patty and I have had multiple meetings for probably the last 3 months where it is a weekly conversation of how we can make change and how we can try to do the things we do. At the time right now, we just need more staff. We're actively pushing for that and trying to recruit people. And at the end of the day, we don't want to cut services, and that's the next thing on if we can't. I know overtime is out of control. But unfortunately, both Patty and I and the staff all believe that officer safety and citizen safety is the priority. And right now, the overtime is what it is because we need to cover the shifts. We need people in the seats. And the only option is to keep that going how it is until we can get more people. If we don't get more people, then obviously services are going to be cut. And that's something we don't want to do. Right now, we're maintaining the level of service that have been providing for the last however many years with the people that we have.
Well, I have a suggestion. So people are leaving and not everyone writes a letter of resignation. People find different ways to go, but it might be beneficial. And I think this is a good idea. I've always been an advocate for performance evaluations. And that's something that my board and the county has traditionally not wanted because with a performance
That's
evaluation.
absolutely wrong. When I met with
I'm
Patty,
talking-
when I met with Patty Friday, I
Oh.
ordered her to do performance evaluation.
I'm talking. You don't get to, I'm talking. I don't care. Be a gentleman.
Don't know what
I'm
you're talking
talking.
about.
So anyway, as far as ordering anyone to do anything, not one commissioner can do that, or I would have had that happening since I started, because I believe that those need to be in files, not just over there, but everywhere, because absent performance evaluations, people get promoted because of who they are or who favors them. So that's why performance evaluations are good in that respect, also to help you get a feel for what's going on, who needs training, and you learn more information. So when you're not just evaluations, but checking in with people to find out what's going on, you might find some of the problematic personalities that several people might be having a hard time with one person, and you might be able to then further do some training or address the issues. And to say that people aren't writing the complaints formally, giving a verbal complaint is still a complaint. And it sounds like this lady has brought this up verbally on numerous
And we offered
occasions.
mediation to sit down with the parties involved, and we offered several different options. That being said, to what Denny had just said, we are instituting evaluations. That's something we had been talking about prior to any of this happening. So this has been in discussions for a couple weeks. We are also doing QA, quality assurance, reviewing calls to see how people are treating just even the public when they call. So those are things that we're all trying to do. As I've said before, I've been here 8 months, change doesn't happen overnight and things will get worse before they get better. People don't want to hear that, but that is the truth. Change takes a long time to take place. And additionally, when you've had people in the positions for, multitudes of years, 10, 15, 20 years, it's going to take time to change behavior and hold people accountable for things that are happening.
You have to.
But let's not lose sight of the fact that this is a funding issue.
It is a
And-
funding
and-
issue. It's a funding issue
And a
and a people issue.
classification issue. Without us, we are in a box locally, as many 911 centers are locally, unfortunately. There's not the funds requisite to adequately fund 911 services, and a lot of them have outside levies that they use. I think it's something that we need to take up with the state. I've issued a meeting with Casey, myself, and our local delegation to go over, some proposed legislation that would potentially change that and add to the local funding, because all of this happening, safety forces are critical. And here's the thing. 911 dispatchers are not classified as safety forces. And that's the rub there, is that if they could be classified as safety forces, and in my opinion, they're the first line of defense. We need to change that legislatively. That's a larger problem that we need to have. Once that changes, I think 911 centers across the state will be adequately funded, and you won't have these types of turnover.
And this is our problem. This is our Board of Commissioners problem. When we look at the history of this thing, Geauga County, after 3 years, their dispatchers make $32 an hour. Our dispatchers don't top out at that. After 30 years, they're not making that much money. So we have all these counties around us where their telecommunicators are making much more. They're not having the issues. They're being compensated. They're at full staff.
Who's
The-
theirs done under? Who's Geauga's done under?
Pardon me?
Who's Geauga?
Roger Peterson is their director out there.
Who is it under? Is it under the commissioner?
It doesn't matter. It's all the same money. It's all general fund money.
Is
Right.
it under the commissioners?
I believe it's under their emergency management services, which is under the commissioners. They don't have a levy or anything like that. They don't have anything that pays from the outside, I believe. And Roger will be on the phone. We'll ask that at the end of the meeting.
Oftentimes there's it's done through the sheriff's department as well. And there's a lot of history here in Trumbull County about as to why things got shifted.
Well, I don't believe it's done in the sheriff's
But-
department there. They have their own EMS across the street from their county administration building where they do it. But that's something we need to look at. We've lost employees. They're 3 supervisors short and at least 8 telecommunicators short of just being able to even function normally. Right now, this is an emergency situation. Make no bones about it. These workers that are working there, we have 3 on afternoon, I believe it's afternoon, that are working 64 hours a week for years. Not just a week, not just last month. We have staffing for 4 years now, been on mandatory overtime. And we've disregarded it. This board has looked at it and said, that's okay. Something's wrong with that. If we don't evaluate our departments, if we don't look into, and as they are evaluating their employees, we need to evaluate our managers at the same time. How did this go unnoticed
Managers
by
are
this
employed.
board for 4 years? How did this go unnoticed that we've had mandatory overtime? People who've had vacations denied, they've had their
It
kids'
go
birthdays
unnoticed.
denied.
It go
They've been
unnoticed.
told mandatory, you're staying until 3 in the morning, or you're coming in tomorrow at 11. There's no ifs, buts about it. If you don't do it, you're disciplined. And there is discipline that goes on in that department. But how do you discipline? You can't,
Yeah, they discipline.
you can't
people for
discipline
things that don't
15
need
people down
discipline and fire
when they're
people
doing the
for
work
doing
of
it.
25 and they're all overworked. And you can't, and do you realize our supervisors right now are union employees? So today I get to be supervisor and I supervise you. And tomorrow, guess what? You're the supervisor and you're supervising me. Do you think I'm going to tell on you if tomorrow you're going to tell on me? That's an asinine system there. And that's what we have right now. And that was not implemented by Casey. This is something that goes back years. But how do you have a telecommunicator one day being a coworker, the next day being the boss and being expected and still disciplined? We can't. And we all three of us are idiots up here if we think we're going to keep allowing this. We can't allow this. We need to send in air support for this department.
You can speak for yourself being an idiot.
Okay. Well, you've been a part of it for the last 3 years and I didn't see you do one thing about it. I haven't heard you initiate one thing in that
I
department.
can't even get an employee to give me a copy, so
Well,
like.
maybe you ought to just go down there and do something, and maybe show your face once in a while,
Okay.
and then come back and report facts.
Commissioner, with all due respect, this isn't a 4-year problem and this isn't a Trumbull County problem.
It is a
Wait, let me
problem that
finish.
goes
Let me
back.
finish. It's not a Trumbull County problem. and It's not a 4-year problem.
Had
If
your
you
head
talk
in
to
the sand,
Casey,
though,
if you talk
tomorrow.
to Casey, she will tell you that this is a problem around the state. That we can't find 911 dispatchers. When you do, it's a hostile, difficult environment for people to work in. If they're not paid accordingly, that's what happens. They leave. I mean, Casey, am I right? Is this a systemic problem?
It's a systemic problem across the nation. Right now, there's shortages everywhere. I know.
Call a question.
She's talking.
She's in the middle of
Yeah,
talking.
but,
When you
I
were
mean,
talking
call
and
a
I called it,
question.
you said it was rude, but it's not okay when you do it.
She's already said that. I just
You're,
heard you
you're,
say it a minute
it's,
ago.
it's fine. I just wanted to speak to kind of that situation. In the one that's coming next week, we had a 2.5-hour exit interview with the supervisor in training. So yes, to answer that question briefly, it is a systematic problem across the United States. There's a shortage of people, there's a shortage of qualified candidates, there's a shortage of funding, and we're doing the best we can.
Qualified candidate,
with-
all you need is a high school diploma, I believe, to work there.
People who
But
are
once they
capable of
get there-
doing the job.
once
You
they
could
get
be a
there,
high
it's a
school
pressure
graduate, but
job.
it doesn't mean you're capable of doing the job. The types of phone calls these people handle, the state of how people talk to people, just the way people,
But there-
people
there's a
nowadays
lot of-
can't
We have
handle how
stacks
they
of
talk to-
people that want these jobs. Unfortunately, when you get them in there,
It doesn't mean they're
it
gonna be
doesn't
good at
pan
it.
out
Correct.
because they think it's going to be something that it's not.
Something totally different than what it is. Ultimately, we're hoping the critical will help that and help weed out people and help us retain people that need to be there. But you know, at the end of the day, our staff is doing what they can, maintaining the hours that they can, working the overtime that they can. A lot of the overtime that you spoke to is voluntary. They are willingly signing up for it to fill the shifts because they know the shifts need to be covered. You know, days off are given when we can. Obviously, right now, time off is limited just due to the staffing number that we are at. And the only thing that's going to solve that is getting bodies in the seats.
I think
So that's where we're at.
I've said before, performance audits would be helpful, but no one wants. to hear
That
from
is
me.
something we're working towards as well.
Well, we need to buckle down is all I'm saying in the next couple of weeks and work with Tasty to get this thing straightened out for the employees' sake. They've been holding down the fort for way too long. It's time that we get in there and do what we have to do. If it's funding, whatever it is, there's other options out there we need to look at. In Geauga County also, they give a longevity bonus every year for an employee. You get money for every year of service that you have there. If you've been there for 15 years, 20 years, or whatever, at the end of the year, you get a longevity bonus. There's things we need to do to let them know they're appreciated, so they do stay and they take pride in their job.
But
So-
we have collectively bargained those,
Wait, with it-
those wages and
Within
they did sign off on those. So I
within
mean,
month,
that's
within
something
month
we-
of me being elected, I proposed a performance audit that I believe I recall him voting no on. So I think that could have helped to prevent the situation and some other ones in the county, but thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, call the vote, please.
Okay, so for item number 9, Mr. Cantala Mesa,
yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item number 10 is to concur with the Trumbull County Engineer to grant the special hauling permits to haul steel coils by the company listed, and that's PI&I Motor Express.
A motion to approve?
Second.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy.
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item number 11 is to concur with the county engineer to grant the right-of-way permits requested by the companies listed, ASW Pipeline LLC and Charter Communication.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Mr. Cantala Mesa.
Yes.
Mr. Malloy.
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item number 12 is to concur with the county engineer to grant the special annual supplier fleet permits requested by the companies listed, Hauser Services LLC and Ken Chirillo Trucking LLC.
Motion to approve?
Second that.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item number 13 is to concur with the county engineer
Is
to
it
close the
Is
road.
this the one that was changed on our agenda?
Clearly, yes.
Is this the only? I'm
Yes.
asking the clerk, is she?
Yes,
Everything else is in order?
yes. To concur with the Trumbull County engineer to close the following roadway: East Liberty Street, Girard Bridge, in Girard between State Route 422 and Marshall Road, at the Girard Bridge for the Mount Carmel Festival fireworks presentation, and the closing date is Tuesday, July 16th, 8 PM to 12 AM.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item number 14 is to award the only bid received as submitted by Faust Construction, Inc. for the TRU Kinsman Sidewalk Phase 4 project located in Kinsman Township in the amount of $214,773.40, and to enter into a contract for said project.
Motion to approve?
Second that.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item number 15 is to concur with the County Engineers Department and to authorize the clerk of the Board of Trumbull County Commissioners to advertise for bids for the TRU Larchmont Avenue resurfacing project. The project consists of the resurfacing of Larchmont Avenue between the City of Warren and Perkins Jones Road in Howland and Bezetta Townships.
Motion to approve?
Second the motion.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item 16 is to adopt a resolution to proclaim the week of May 19th, 2024 through May 25th, 2024 as Tourism Week in Trumbull County, Ohio, in conjunction with National Travel and Tourism Week.
Motion to approve?
Second the motion.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
I just wanted to take a moment, if I could, to thank the commissioners for always supporting what we do at Trumbull County Tourism. And I also wanted to take this opportunity, as it's coming up on National Travel and Tourism Week, to show you our new website. So what you're seeing right now is our current website. And we have been working for several months on this. We have over 300 visitor serving businesses that are listed on this. You scroll down, you can see people can download or request one of our visitors guides. We have things to do, places and eat and drink, and places to stay. We've highlighted each one of our towns and townships as well. We've got a section on how we love Trumbull County with different, we call them blogs, but we're calling them articles. And we also have a list of Truly Trumbull, Truly You, and Amish country and events and Italian food trail and just a bunch of different things. When you go back up to the top, a couple of things we want to highlight. First is our new events page, if I can get it there. And you'll see that we're highlighting all sorts of different events. Our events are not community events. I will say that. We're looking at it from a visitor serving perspective. So we'll use like the United Way of Trumbull County has their annual luncheon coming up. That's more of a community event, but the United Way's storybook trail that's here in Perkins Park would be more of a visitor serving experience. So we've got
Festivals are on here too.
events. Yep, you're looking at May right now. There is an opportunity, as with our old site, that people can put those events, if you click here to submit a new event, it goes through a process with our staff. They'll review it, make sure it's correct, make sure that the picture and everything is looking good before it's approved. But we do have an approval process for that. Also, if you,
Question, are you able to add them to your calendar via there?
that's what the event, yes, it's
Then you can
submit
click
an
it and-
event.
Can you add it to your calendar? Like say someone's scrolling on their phone, can they click it
That's
and
a
add it to the?
great idea. So one of the new processes and one of our new features is plan your trip. So plan your trip is what we call a widget. And you can go here and you can decide if you want to do, like, if you wanted to go to, let's say you wanted to go to Neil Armstrong. Let me see here. Get this down, and we're going to add it to the itinerary. And then you want to stay at the Holiday Inn Express over near the mall. That goes into an itinerary. Well, you can also add your events. So that on our website is also linked to this widget as well. So you can add events either here or you can add them on the website as well, just by clicking the heart button. So if I go back to our website here for a second, and if I just, I don't know, I'm just gonna pull something here quickly. And if I click on Charbonnet's and I hit on that heart, then it will also show up on this planning widget. And then it will also map it out for you as well. So it's really, we're pretty excited about it.
This an app also where you can download
When
the
you
app?
get it, yes. Now, I will say that we just went live yesterday, and so we're still working on functionality for the mobile site. So we've got the mobile site up and running. This visit widget is still in process, and we're hoping to have that done in the next
Can you
couple of
add-
days.
But the basic question I was asking, can you actually add it to your calendar? by
Oh,
clicking-
to your
you know how, like,
calendar, let me,
Outlook Express.
Basically,
Right.
on social media, if you see a Facebook event, you can click on it and then
Yep.
add it to your calendar. So I just wondered if this has. that
I
feature.
think it does, actually.
Okay.
I have to remind myself, I'm sorry. So
I
you've
think-
got, if you go down, scroll down, there you go. You can add it to your calendar or your Google Calendar.
That's perfect. Thank you.
So you can do that. Other features are that we added a live, work, thrive section. So when you go down here, if they're looking for an apartment, if they're looking for places to work or starting their own business, if you scroll down for site selectors, again, things to do, and then our towns and townships, we've highlighted each one of those in this special section there. And really providing just resources. So if you click on any one of those, I don't know which one I'll do like if you wanted to start a business. And a lot of this was actually taken off of the current planning commission's website as well. So they have worked with us, Nick has worked with us to do this.
Did you do this in-house or do we have an agency or something?
We worked with an agency called Bull Moose Marketing. They're located in Meadville. So a lot of this is our work though. So don't think that they did all of this. It's those two back there, Samantha and Nick Wave. They're the ones that have spent hours and hours on that. Another feature that I wanted to show is, so we were talking about Truly Trumbull. And when we have trending stories, which are really our blogs, and we do anywhere from 2 to 4 blogs that we release every month. We also have moods for those blogs. So if somebody is looking for grown-up time or indulging or learning, we do have something there that they can click on. And then those blogs that are more focused on family things to do in Trumbull County will come up. And they're like this one is also tagged to adventure and family time. This one is to learning. So we just have different categories. I think that's it, but we're really excited about that. We've got this Truly Trumbull, which you had asked about for the Amish country. So we have a specific landing page created to Amish country in Northeast Ohio. And then we have the listings that are associated with those. We also, pardon me?
History one?
We have, history is really where we're focused on, that is on play. We have, right now, we've got Amish Country, Italian Food Trail, our Truly Trumbull Trip Ideas, which is really our marketing campaigns, winter, spring, summer, and fall. And if you go there, so for, let's say for our summer marketing campaigns, we're actually sending people to this particular page with summer trip ideas. And again, they can go in and click on, let's say they decide they want to do the Scrappers. If they click there, and we'll get there. Get there, they can add to my plan. If you click on the heart there, it will automatically go back to that that visit widget as well. So there's a lot of ways to plan your itineraries here in Trumbull County.
I
So
think were you asking like history, like Civil War,
No,
history from
No,
county
I've
or?
talked to her since I,
So if
before
you
I
look
was, I
here-
took office. That's was one of the reasons why I know that people come here, and one of the first things people ask,
Mhm.
because of our historic downtown, having a place where all of the, truly Trumbull, I think is our history too.
Mhm.
And we have
It
more
is.
historical societies than anywhere here in
Right.
Trumbull County, and so much of that. That's why I was just asking where.
So under play, you'll see historic cemeteries, which I always say, oddly enough, we get a lot of, there's a gentleman that writes our blogs for that. So that gets a lot of attention. And then our museum and historic sites, and under Truly Trumbull, when you have a chance, you can look at summer, spring, everything is weaved into that experience, because a lot of times when somebody is coming to a historic site, they're not just coming to go to the National Packard Museum. They may want to go to a restaurant. They might want to go to shopping. They might want to do, so when we're doing our marketing campaigns, we're talking about the whole experience that they can get here in Trumbull.
Somebody asked me about local theater and like TNT. Do we promote that at all as well?
We do. I think we just did I don't know if it was paid or not, but we just did a promotion for like Warren Civic Music. So we have that, and we have it on our events page. And so we focus on that as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
And I would, let's just see if we've got arts and entertainment and see if TNT is on there as a listing. They should be.
Yeah.
They were on our old website, so they should be on our new website. Town hall. Oh, we'll have to add them.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yep.
So that's,
What's on the history tab?
well, and the other thing with this is, we call it randomized. So the A's aren't always going to be at the top. So if I hit refresh,
Yeah.
it won't be Ernie Hall the next time. So this always randomizes every time there's a refresher, you go to the page. So we've got a lot of our different sites. History.
There is an arts one too, an arts and entertainment, an arts.
That's what I just hit.
Okay,
That's what I just clicked on.
museums and, okay, yeah, that's.
Yep, and so we have a new website, a website URL called trulytrumbull.com, and we're moving all of our stuff there. But we're really excited. It's been a labor of love for all of us, but we're excited with how it's turned out.
Looks
Beth,
great.
you did a
Appreciate
fantastic
it.
job. This is awesome to you and your staff. That's,
That's
I'm amazed.
perfect. Thank you.
For those that don't know, this is a lot of what our bed tax brings in for our hotels is used to fund our tourism. And Beth has done a phenomenal job since she's been here, completely revamping everything. She's everywhere, so we appreciate you, Beth.
What percentage do you get from that? Still,
2%.
never had an ask for any more, huh? I thought that was gonna come sometime in my term, but it never did. Oh, well.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
Item number 17 is to receive and place on file the 2023 annual report of the Trumbull County Juvenile Court as submitted by Juvenile Court Administrator Stacy Ziska on behalf of Juvenile Court Judges Sandra Stabile Harwood and Samuel F. Bludorn. The annual report is filed pursuant to ORC Section 2151.18.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item number 18 is to authorize change order number 2 to Pollard Land Services, Inc., associated with the PY 22 CDBG Residential Public Infrastructure Grant Program and American Rescue Plan Trumbull County Sanitary Lateral Assistance Program for LMI households heat and shoot, increasing the original contract in the amount of $26,068.14, and to authorize Denny Malloy, President of the Board of Commissioners, to sign any related documents. Change order number 2 is necessary as 3 additional households submitted applications for assistance after construction began as a result of additional outreach conducted by public officials.
Motion to approve?
Second that.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes, and I just wanted to say, I think it's good that the planning commission always submits their change orders on time in advance. Sometimes we, when I started and even as recently as last year, sometimes we get change orders for work that's already been done, 9 months work at one point, and I think it's great whenever they're on the ball and they do things timely, so.
Item number 19 is to authorize change order number 3 to TK Excavating associated with the PY 22 CDBG Residential Public Infrastructure Program and American Rescue Plan Trumbull County Sanitary Lateral Assistance Program for LMI households heat and shoot, increasing the contract in the amount of $58,320, and to authorize Denny Malloy, President of the Board of Commissioners, to sign any related documents. Change order number 3 is necessary as 3 additional households submitted applications for assistance after construction began as a result of additional outreach conducted by public officials.
Motion to approve?
Second that.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item number 20 is to authorize the purchase of a 2024 Freightliner Cascadia 126 day cab tractor with optional wetline kit from Stoops Freightliner Dayton for use by the Trumbull County Sanitary Engineers Department in the total amount of $162,920 through the Ohio Department of Transportation Contract 44-24.
Motion to approve?
Second that.
Is Bob here? Oh, hi. Thank you for submitting it in the portal correctly. And what fund is that? The replacement, okay. And then, what was done with the other vehicle? I just
It burned up on fire and
I just wondered what was. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item number 21 is to authorize Danny Malloy, President of the Board of Commissioners, to sign and execute all documents related to the application, execution, and implementation of the Appalachian Regional Commission grant application for the Pendleton Gilmore Sanitary Sewer Improvements Project number 6-S-22, Warren Township, Trumbull County, and to authorize the Trumbull County Sanitary Engineers to prepare and submit the Appalachian Regional Commission grant application to the Eastgate Regional Council of Governments for the Pendleton Gilmer Sanitary Sewer Improvements Project.
Motion to approve?
Second that.
Is the application done? And then the other thing is this one, I'm trying to understand why this one was approved if it didn't come in through the portal. Does the sanitary engineers department not have it or only Bob does?
Gary Newbrow, sanitary engineer. I did not have Windows 365 at the time of this, submitting this.
There's still a procedure that was predated that where you put agenda item with the date so that in the subject line, because it didn't have anything like that either.
It says it on the top of the resolution that I sent in, the date
But
that
the
it's
but the
on.
subject, we get hundreds of emails and we can't get, I can't get the staff to give me copies of anything at this.
If you
point,
got
so
3 emails, you still don't read them.
It's kind of rough to go through, look through hundreds of them. I search by approved to try to find them, or I search by agenda and nothing came in from you that had that in the subject line, which is what HR put out as the process for this. And then, the only way to find it was to keyword kind of search. So it would be good if you could follow those procedures as well. Thank you, but go ahead and. answer.
All right, this Appalachia grant application, the application itself isn't due until sometime in the fall. This is a pre-application that I have to submit by, I think it's next Tuesday. And we have to have this resolution attached as part of the pre-application.
So this is the intent to apply, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes, and I like to say this will provide service for another 300 customers.
Pass me that.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item 22 is to complete and submit paperwork to the Ohio Department of Taxation for the approval of transfer of funds for security services from the Special Tax Levy Fund to the County General Fund per ORC 5705.24. The approval of transfer of funds is needed from the Ohio Department of Taxation to pay for the security services provided by the Trumbull County Sheriff's Office to the Trumbull County Children's Services. Children's Services will be responsible to compensate the county sheriff as invoiced on a monthly basis for the total amount not to exceed $90,826.54. Trumbull County Sheriff's Office will furnish 1 deputy to Children's Services to provide police and security services and duties. Services will be provided for 12 months beginning January 1st, 2024 and ending December 31st, 2024.
Motion to approve?
Second the motion.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item 23, to declare Warren Roofing and Insulating Company to be the best value for the roof replacement project at the Trumbull County Engineers Cortland Garage, 3654 Warren Meadville Road in Cortland, and authorize Michael Slawinski to commence contract negotiations with Warren Roofing and Insulating for the purpose of determining the total design build service fee cost and to approve an expenditure for design service fees in the amount of $65,308. And to further authorize Danny Malloy, President of the Board of Commissioners, to execute any and all documents required for this agreement.
Motion to approve?
Second motion.
Discussion. I'd like to see that the county not do this process moving forward. I mean, me saying that might cause you two to say, "No, we're gonna do it every."
No, we already
time."
talked about it in meetings that it was a bad idea. Mr. Slawinski, Mr. Hart, both agreed. Yeah, and the prosecutor even told us let's try to stay away from this in the future. So that's already been discussed months ago to stay away from design builds as best we can.
It did nothing but slow things down. The intention is that it's supposed to expedite things, but I mean, I guess there's an argument. I know someone from the trades came and said that they like that or that they support it, but I think that we should, for us, I don't think it worked well.
Actually, Mr. Taylor from the trades came to a meeting and said, don't do design builds anymore. So, and he was the vice president of building trades.
He said that sometimes that they're done. Okay, that's not what I heard, but okay.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes, and I think that they did a really good job. I went through everything and I thank Mr. Slawinski for being as meticulous as he was. He gave not only the tabulation for review, but a timeline, notes on the entire process, and it was very, very well done, and it included, people who participated in, ranking that from the Highway Engineers Department, and it was excellent. I reviewed the packet and, I think it's good. It is unfortunate, however, that it's gonna cost over $1 million. That could have been lessened. We could have been, the county overall would be in better shape if we had preventative maintenance. And that's something that I've been advocating for since I got here, because after decades of having zero preventative maintenance, not one building graded, not one system graded, we end up in situations where roofs are flying off, falling in, and the costs are over $1 million, as opposed to preventative maintenance where you're planning for replacement and repairs, and without a capital budget, I think it's damaging to the county. I'm glad this is getting fixed, but there's a better way, and it involves forethought, planning, and things that are absent here in the county.
That roof was built in 1955. It was gonna need replaced regardless. Okay, that concludes our agenda items for today. Does anybody from the board or anyone from the public have anything for the good of Trumbull County?
Yes, I'd like to make a comment. I think that the public needs to be aware of. Last week, when the president of the board, along with Commissioner Cantala Mesa, shut the meeting down because they did not like what I was saying, that was viewpoint discrimination. Now, it's not conducive for me to sue because I wasn't arrested. However, I won in court because of that in the past. But if a person from the general public comes and has the intention of speaking, and that happened last week, she was actually a damaged party, Ms. Roth was. So anyone in the public in Trumbull County comes to the commissioners meeting with the intention to speak, and the meeting gets shut down, you have a case against the county. The commissioners need to start doing things the right way. They should not be silencing people who are coming to speak just because someone said something that they didn't want to hear.
Through Robert's Rules of Order, once someone gets belligerent or out of order, or out of line, the president has the right to shut the meeting down. That's right. It's recommended actually in Robert's Rules of Order.
Here's what happens is, viewpoint discrimination is whenever what happens in one situation, it doesn't happen in the other situation. So because one person had critical opinion of me, that's okay. People can talk, they can swear at me, they could degrade me, whatever. That's acceptable.
They
to the
didn't
court.
swear and they didn't
They
use the
say
language you
whatever.
used, Commissioner.
However, if someone else wants to say something opposing that view and then they shut it down, that's considered viewpoint discrimination, and that's exactly how I won my case. So I would just, it might be over their heads to understand that that's what they did. But nonetheless, if there is someone who is here to speak and then they don't get the opportunity to speak, you have a separate cause of action against the county. And I would encourage you to do that, because we need to make sure that they're not shutting the meetings down and preventing people who have taken time off work from their opportunity to come in and talk. Thank you. And also, I want to congratulate everyone who graduated from Youngstown State University last weekend. I saw elected official's wife from Warren, Mr. Herman's wife, got her MBA. I saw we had a lot of county employees who graduated their children last weekend, and downtown business managers, I saw them getting their diplomas. I think that's great. Trumbull County was well represented at YSU's graduation last week.
As Kent Trumbull, I'm sure too. Ms. Roth.
Debbie Roth, Warren Township. I have several things to discuss. It's probably going to exceed my time limits, but
Well, we did shut you off last week, so I can extend you a little more today.
okay. One of the concerns we have is with the FEMA study. We still haven't got any idea of when this study's starting and what the scope of that study is going to be. Some of the residents expressed a concern in allowing them to come in to their home to do study because is the purpose of it really to help them, or is it to just gather more ammunition to create a problem for those residents? So I guess that would be a Julie Green question as far as the scope of the study.
since you're gonna have more time, I wanna respond to that. One of the things that I really wanted to see happen when I first came on board and was aware that there was an application that could have been applied for, but nobody in the county applied for the purpose of buying. It would have, the outcome would have been, having those houses bought by the individuals so that they could move from that flood area. I don't know why it wasn't pursued, but right now, they're doing that study and from what I can see, it probably will be a situation where it's going to uphold what they originally said. And I'm concerned for them. I think they'd be in a better position if there was if the county were to, planning commission, I believe, would have participated in that program to buy back, to help them buy back their properties, because the appraised values have gone up so high, they would have been able to get top dollar and then relocate from that area.
Maybe
That's just
maybe
my-
perhaps they don't want to relocate. Their home and their family and their whole life is in that community. It's not that we want people shoved out of our community. We're a family out there and they deserve the opportunity to stay in the home that they've worked so hard to get. It's not about relocating
But
for some of the
you would
people.
have to be nice if they could
Because
get-
some of the people, like the 80-some-year-old woman that was happening to, they were going to relocate her into an area of Warren City that I wouldn't relocate my mom into from there. So that's very unfair for that woman as well. And I'm not into debate that. I just want to know what the timeline is on the study. And if Julie can assure us that the study's for the benefit of the people and not going to build ammo to go against it. I also have some other questions about, I'll let her answer that and then.
Julie Green, Director, Trumbull County Planning. The statement you just made is completely false. I have no idea where you received the information from. We never offered to relocate anyone, especially not into Warren City. That's the first thing. Second thing, statement made by Commissioner Frenchco regarding the lack of proactivity on the Planning Commission to apply for funding that is available. That is not true as well. Can you name the grant program that you're referencing, or when it was due, or what the process was, or how we missed it?
It was when TJ was there and it was I don't have it specifically, but they were buying the properties back out of the, I'll get it for next week. Cause we had discussion about that when I got here and it wasn't pursued.
Oh, man.
The responsibility of floodplain administration is on the Board of Trumbull County
Right.
Commissioners. It was delegated to our office. FEMA conducted an audit. There were 5 properties identified. In order to help those properties get through the process, the commissioners agreed to allocate funds to conduct the required studies specified by FEMA in order to move forward with identifying any sort of plan to bring those properties into compliance. There is no other path forward. Those studies are in process. Many of the property owners, because of these rumors, have not wanted to participate. Thanks to Trustee Yoho, I believe he has encouraged several of them to allow MS consultants to conduct these surveys and studies on their property. And to respond to your statement, is there some sort of nefarious thing, underhanded thing to try and make things worse for the people? I would just say, Debbie, you don't know me. My entire life has been dedicated to this county. All I do every single day, day and night, is think of ways to make this county a better place. End of story. I live in a 1,000-square-foot home with my husband. I don't take anything for granted, and I don't take criticism well, which is why I'm a little bit upset right now, because again, if you know me, you know I don't have an agenda. My only goal is to help people, period. So hopefully that answers everybody's questions. And I'm an open book. if you want to come and visit me, which you have and you still can, anytime, 185 East Market Street, I'm there every day, second floor. Thanks.
I do want to bring up though in response that.
What?
I was advocating to spend ARPA money to eliminate that last list for the HSTS. And I remembered you saying, no, we don't want to do it.
We
Our
didn't
planning
have the
commission was-"
capacity. Are you going to
I'm just saying.
change subject matters? Because do you want me to go on
No, that's
the
all.
number of projects that our office of 6 is currently undertaking,
just talking
including
about-
yours, which you seem to take a
all the
lot of
credit
credit
for.
for? So
Okay.
I've been working on it since 2016, 8 years.
Changing the subject. I'm
Yes,
just-
you
I'm
are.
just
You're
saying-
going from one subject to the next. And I really don't want to stand here and defend myself. Again, I really don't need to because everybody knows me
There
and
are
you know how I.
Senior citizens who didn't have. There were senior citizens also, I mean, in their eighties and nineties that were being dragged in and out of court, and we had the opportunity to eliminate an entire list of people who were being dragged into court to do their septic systems, and the planning commission declined wanting us to spend the money on that because they didn't want to process the applications. But anyway. go
You're
ahead.
gonna bring the grant in next week. You said TJ failed to apply for, right? You're gonna look it up?
Look,
I got it on the
back
notes
to-
for it. Ms.
First,
Velázquez,
first of all, let me say that my statements were not a personal attack on anyone. But pardon Warren Township for being on live and well in a conspiracy theory, and it wasn't about the planning commission, it's about the US government, FEMA demanding these things. Warren Township has a lot of conspiracy theories because of the things we deal with between, I don't know, landfills, prisons, drug rehab houses, removal of dams, this FEMA issue. We just get snowballed by all of it. It wasn't a personal attack on Julie. Sorry you took it that way. It's basically the government is what's, the US government is telling them to do that to see if they can work out the issue. But our people don't want to sell their homes. They can't afford to put them on stilts or anything else. And, you know, they're a little, just a tad upset because Trumbull County did issue building permits to those people. The people that issued the building permit should have known that. Now it comes back on the homeowner after their whole life, 30 years plus has been lived there. And you know, why would they not feel like they're under attack? Enough said about that. On to,
But just to be clear, this board, and you're talking about 30 years ago, a different board, a different time, but we are trying to do everything we can by that, to make it so that we are assisting these individuals.
I understand that,
You know,
but
I'm just letting you know.
put
for
their
the record.
shoe on your foot on,
Agree.
you know what
I
I'm
agree
saying?
with
Like these people, why would they not feel that way?
I agree. I just think that needs to be said as well.
Onto the dam issue. I shared with you guys the article about the contractor that Metro Parks has doing the job with the dam, that they had legal issues and were sued because they removed another dam in the state that created one of the concerns that we've shared, and that's with roadways collapsing anywhere near the river because of the dirt. When it's not wet anymore, it starts to collapse. They sent out a letter to the trustees because we had asked them to put the project on hold until DLZ could complete their study. They sent out a letter saying that Ohio EPA has told them that they cannot put it on hold. That was the whole handshake agreement kind of thing coming out of that meeting, that they would try to do that. My question is what reason would Ohio EPA have for telling them they can't put it on hold? They own the dam, they can do anything they want. So is there a repercussion that Ohio EPA has told them they would have to deal with? And does that repercussion outweigh the dangers that we're facing? DLZ is going to be starting a study by the end of the month. But again, the money they're spending today and every day with that study and continuing, when push comes to shove and the end of this comes to, yes, it will be debilitating and cause a lot of damage with roadways, the fire station, the health of the public, and we have to put it, this project stops. Who's going to bear the burden of the financial aspect for what they've already gotten into when every day the clock is chinging because they still got these guys going? And another question I had about it. So these, today you approve permits for right-of-ways. I assume that that's the function of the Board of Commissioners. So if they come to you with a request for a right-of-way to remove that dam, are you going to approve that right-of-way in light of the seriousness of the issues that it's going to create? We have tried to work diligently and been polite and tried to carry out a request respectfully. And it almost seems to no avail because this Ohio EPA incident also come out when they haven't had a meeting. So Zach sent a letter out without them having a meeting. And, you know, I've said before that we also have the option of petitioning the probate court to have the members of the Metro Park Board removed from there. That's not something we want to do. We're not trying to devastate the whole county because people think that, you know, some of the parks are good, and I don't disagree that it's good to have parks. However, they're not maintained, the bike trail is not maintained, and they have not done their due diligence in the contractor they've selected for this dam removal, nor have they listened to the community. I saw an interesting article in the Vindicator from May 4th. Mill Creek had that issue with the deer population down there, and some people took that to the probate judge out there. And the headline of the article is Judge Tells Mill Creek Board to Respond to Deer Group's Concerns. I'm not taking lightly that this whole thing with the deer getting hunted, shot in there or anything like that, because I'm an avid hunter myself, but the comparison between deer population and a whole town, you know, it seems like this whole town issue, what we're talking about, the safety of the community's members, would far outweigh the deer population. And this judge is stopping Mill Creek Park and telling you guys got to stop and you have to respond to this group's concerns. I don't want to take that route, but it's always open to us. And I really would rather Metro Parks Board make good decisions based on solid data that they have, and they don't have that. And they're not listening to the concerns we have. And you know, we said the roads would collapse a long time ago. That was a concern of ours. And now that we've showed that that's what happens, they still are playing a deaf ear to us, in our opinion. We appreciate all the work that the township has put into it. We appreciate you as commissioners trying to help us. But at some point, this buck has to stop somewhere before they start removing this dam.
I'd like to respond. This is something that I here. So when I became aware that there is a problem with the floodplain administration and that had gone on for years, that it was under the wrong entity, and I got here, Julie came to me, talked to me about it, and so this has been a mess for a long time. I started looking into solutions, and I did have a lot of conversations on the phone and an email with TJ Karen. He was the GIS person who worked over at the Planning Commission, and it was the FEMA grants buyout program. It's under the Ohio Emergency Management Agency's mitigation branch their mitigation branch administers the FEMA Hazard Mitigation Assistance Grant Program. That is the specific name of it. TJ gave me a link to it. We were talking about it. It provides funding for many mitigation actions that reduce the risk of flooding, including purchasing prone properties for the purpose of removing the structures and putting the property into a conservation easement. So that is the grant program that I was talking at length with TJ about, back and forth a few times, and until the point in time that he was instructed by the director of the Planning Commission not to communicate with me about that anymore. And he sent me an email that said that I am only allowed to communicate. Trumbull County Planning Commission Vice Chairman Jim Davies has been appointed as the liaison between the Planning Commission and the Board of Commissioners. Please contact him. So he and I were discussing the possibility of applying for a grant to help all of those people that included mitigation up to acquiring the property. And all of a sudden, he was instructed not to cease communication with me. So that is the name of the grant. I don't know why no one moved forward with it.
I don't know why you haven't gone to a planning commission meeting since 2021 and you have a board seat.
Okay, so
So
anyway.
you could be a part of the process there with Mr. Davies on the planning board. He's there.
Right,
You could, we have it, we have it once a month for the last 3 years. You haven't been there.
don't want more.
You send a liaison
That-
who
that's
says she
not
hasn't even
fair.
talked to you since you appointed her.
Okay, so nonetheless, there is money, there was money and there available to help. But the individual that would have been associated with that was instructed not to look at it. So anyway, just.
If there
Again,
is,
you could be at the planning commission meetings in front of the whole board. The
Yeah.
board is in charge of the planning commission. The board oversees
Alrighty.
the staff and the employees. You could be there. You're a member of it.
And we, the board, oversees our staff and our employees, and I can't, okay.
Apparently you can't get anything done,
Sure. Okay.
according to you.
if there is indeed that,
And I'd like to address the damn thing.
Look at
It-
how-
can I say
Last-
something about that?
Last week I had a gentleman from the EPA came into my office and he was concerned about the dam stuff and he concerned about exactly what you did. So the gentleman from the EPA came into my office last week.
Who was it?
Which part?
Which part?
You stating up here that you can't get anything done on your own. You've tried for this, you tried,
Oh.
and you can never get anything accomplished because people don't second you.
What
That-
are you
that part-
doing? What
Okay.
is this?
All right, anyway,
Who
back to
was
the
it from the
EPA.
EPA?
What he said is we are on the hook. There was over $600,000 been expended out of grant money. If they don't do the dam, it will be expected that the park board will have to pay that money back. It'll go back to Akron through their grant and into the EPA general fund. It's not guaranteed it's going to come back to Trumbull County in any way. It'll go back in the EPA's grant funds. So he encouraged us to work quickly on this because the bill is running and the wheels are in motion and we are on the hook financially. So there were no threats. It was a nice cordial meeting. He said he doesn't care if we leave the dam, take the dam out. It has nothing, the EPA doesn't really care. It's a decision that we are making. We applied for the grant to do it. We asked to do it. Our Metro Parks board are the ones that did the paperwork to get the grant money. So he said they graciously gave the money as they did with other entities that want to remove dams on the river. But he encouraged us. He said, you know, the clock is running on this. There are wheels in motion. You will be on the hook financially. So the board, as we sat at that meeting last month, we said, we're not going to sit there and bash each other until we get the study. So that's one thing I ask you also is the allegations that the stuff you brought up, the articles, that's all been presented. It's all part of the package. We need the dam study to occur that we voted for. And when that occurs, we'll sit back down and look at all the facts. You know, right now, we don't want to take shots at the board. We don't take shots at the EPA. We don't want to take them to take shots at us or the trustees until we have all the facts on the table. We appreciate your comments with that, but they know, the board knows the process. They know the bill is running and they're going to be on the hook for that money. Of course, they're not going to be able to afford it. It's going to fall back on us, but there would be repercussions on the board should they put us in that financial strait where they chose to continue doing things without our full approval up here. While we know that there's a study going on. So Zach is aware of that, and anything that Zach can do to slow the wheels down, he knows, and it'll be up to his judgment to do what he can do. Right now, we need the study done so we can sit back down and make a decision quickly before the bill gets outrageous and out of hand.
Who was it with the EPA that was here?
He was the Northeast Ohio coordinator, and I've got his business card in my phone. And he's actually going to be here tomorrow with the governor. Doing some EPA stuff. David Emmerman, Chief Community Officer, Northeast District, Ohio, Twinsburg.
Yeah, I know who it is.
So he was here and we had a really great meeting and he's watching what's going on. He's our link there between all this and the EPA. And like you said, he's hands off. It's our decision, but there is grant money that's on the table now. If we don't use it as planned, the grant money has to go back.
Yeah, we understand that.
So
And Ms. Frenchco, if there's money there to help these people mitigate it, perhaps you could research that more and help us to get that going. And as far as Julie, with my statement being untrue about the elderly woman being relocated, it was TJ Curran that told me that before he left there. I wasn't pointing any fingers at her or attacking her, but again, Warren Township has a lot of reasons to have conspiracy theories going on, unfortunately.
Well, let's wait it out and get the study done and then address it at that time. Reverend Oliver, yes.
Good morning, County Commissioners. Good morning, Trumbull County. My colleague and I will be very brief. My name is Reverend John Michael Oliver. I do have the privilege of serving as the Executive Director for the AA Wellness Agency. We are speaking briefly this morning about some of our initiatives that we have right here in Trumbull County. I am a Trumbull County resident myself. With our 11th annual Mahoney Valley Wellness Day, every summer at the Cavelli Center, we provide at no cost health screenings and resources for the whole community. It is free at no cost to males and females. 92 of our community vendors and sponsors last year showed up. We had over 4,500 in attendance. We screened over 450 people. Today, we have a variety of 8 initiatives that are free to Trumbull County residents, and I'm here to solicit the support of the county commissioners and Trumbull County. It is beyond an ask for funding if discretionary funds may be applicable. It is just to introduce ourselves. My colleague will speak very briefly. Again, we have all these available that are free, and we are representing Trumbull County. And I thank you for having this time to present on what we do, and as well as in Northeast Ohio, my colleague, our workforce director, Marcelo Magnoni.
Still good morning.
He talks pretty quick.
Good morning. As he said, my name is Wasilwa Marnioni. I'm a Northeast Ohio workforce manager here for the National Center for Urban Solutions. Working in the workforce space in different levels. I sit on the Ohio Department of Mental Health Planning Council. Workforce is an issue there. Also with Attorney General's Legal Legislative Subcommittee for Human Trafficking, workforce is an issue. We know the valley's resurging. It was called the Rust Belt for many years. Now we're trying to knock some of that rust off. We have recent work with some departments that are working alongside us. Mahoning Valley Manufacturers Coalition, we actually helped over 200 people come through our workforce program and get hired at places like Clark Dietrich, GEI, that big battery plant, I think it's called Altium in this area. We're currently now working with YSU on a 5G certification project. So we're going to make sure that the awareness is up with our grassroots marketing here in Trumbull County as well. So some of the young people, I know there's a population of individuals 18 to 24 that aren't employed or they're underemployed, but we want to make sure everybody's going to be getting in the surging industry. So also one last thing. One of the things that we do at the National Center for Urban Solutions is targeted recruiting. We work with the Butler County Community College as a partner, and we actually recruited for their EMS shortage or whatnot. And I kind of took an open ear to you guys saying that the issue with staffing for dispatch callers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer some guidance. I don't know if she's still. If she left, if I can get an
It'll get
email
back to her.
on how we can kind of galvanize something, maybe possible partnership. I can not even talking about a proposal, but that's an immediate issue that you guys have. And that's one of the things we've done throughout the state. Providing wraparound job readiness training, as well as that recruiting and getting people that you guys need to stay in there. So that's it. That's all I had.
We'd welcome any input with that. We brought that up actually last week with a young lady from NAACP about how she can engage with the county to help us recruit employees.
No, may I? Okay. Yes, ma'am. Oh, okay. Well, again, thank you so much. As Mr. Magnoni has stated, it is a community partnership. We are not here to compete. We are not here to reinvent the wheel. We're here for collaboration. Again, some of these programs are right here in Trumbull County with our Mahoney Valley Fatherhood Coalition, mentoring, our Financial Opportunity Center. We are partnered with General Motors Powered by Rule List. We help individuals, male or female, with credit repair, understanding budget, financing. Our company, we are in 18 major cities across 12 states. We have 13 published medical articles by The Ohio State University. Again, this morning is not to present a resume, but a collaboration and a face to come together as a team effort. So my colleague and I are here to offer whatever we need for Trumbull County, and we are here to be excited to this commissioner's board and the great city of Warren in Trumbull County. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you're looking for a partnership or to, I would suggest going to the health department, both of the health departments. I don't know when he's the president of the board is the representative for the commissioners to the county health department, and the city of Warren is separate and is a separate entity, but I think that that's where you most fit in. Because we don't directly as commissioners, we don't work in health, only our representation on our Trumbull County Board of Health.
That's just one facet.
That's
of
one-
what they
one
do.
Thank you, Commissioner. That's what I was stating. Today's meeting and my ask for this presentation is represent who I am. We are just more than a health and wellness agency. We have 9 initiatives that we speak about. I was just here presenting what is available with the Wellness Day displays all of those initiatives. But thank you, Commissioner. I have a meeting with them. But today was just to show individuals think that we're just a walk or this or that. We have definitely migrated, and that shows the power of the Mahoney Valley, that 92 community vendors, even some of our vendors and sponsors right here in the city of Warren and in Trumbull County, that came under one roof. And yes, the support of Mayor Franklin, he was one of our honorary chairs, but thank you for that suggestion. We are here to just let this county commission know in the city of Warren and Trumbull County that we are here, a part of Trumbull County, not as a competition, but let people know it is not just for Mahoney County. But I do appreciate that information.
With our workforce development board as well. Have you worked with Mr. Turner?
Not yet.
Okay, that might be another place, like looking at what you do, you can see the places where you fit in.
Okay.
And one of them would also be that workforce development board, which is in Trumbull County, but they have their own board,
Okay.
you know?
I think you did the right thing by coming here because all of our department heads now know about you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And someone like Mr. Turner will be able to know who you are and we can make the contacts.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You had a question, ma'am? You had a question? You have to approach the mic though, so we can hear.
You can have a conversation with them, not at our meeting, so after the
It's-
meeting, you can talk.
You can take the microphone, ma'am, and speak about whatever you want.
Oh, I understand. I know that you said you were trying to talk to him, though. No.
Address me and then we can address him.
Address you, it's concerning
Yes.
what they said to you.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so I did see the meeting
Oh,
yesterday.
I need your
that
name and who you
is-
represent, ma'am.
My name is Carol Lynn Morgan, and I reside in Boardman, Ohio, in Mahoning County. But there are issues that I have in Trumbull County. So I have to take care of them both. And what I heard from the meeting yesterday is that the gentleman here and the gentleman there, respectfully, they are introducing themselves to you, and it's leading to asking for funding.
They did not
for
ask for any
their-
funds.
Well, he said if you have anything to allocate as funding or whatever. So I want to address that part.
Yeah.
Trumbull County already has a fatherhood rights initiative. There is no motherhood rights initiative. There is a fatherhood.gov. There is no motherhood.gov. It doesn't exist for mothers. So being that there's already a father's rights initiative here in Trumbull County that supports the fatherhood movement, there's nothing to support the motherhood movement. So if you're going to allocate funding to their cause, there should be an allocation of funding equally to the motherhood cause. Unfortunately, there isn't one. And I mean, you can do a search. I've done a search. There is the Father's Rights Initiative. Motherhood's Rights Initiative doesn't exist. That gives funding to the counties. And a lot of times what is happening is you have fathers that are absent for whatever reason. And it is admirable to try to bring those fathers in to be fathers to their children. But then there's some fathers that have gone and had the wherewithal to hire high-priced attorneys to take children from good mothers. For example, these here. These are human bite marks that my ex-husband did to my children. I reported them. Mahoning County gave me a protection order, 5-year protection order. In that protection order, and I can give you the case number, you can look it up. He tried to behead me with a machete out front of the Indian restaurant in Boardman, Ohio. It's in the protection order. He punched my little boy in the face twice, knocking him into a display in Sam's Club in Boardman. He broke into my home while I was in the shower. He had been stalking me from across the street at Robinwood School. He broke into my home while I was in my shower and attacked me and sexually assaulted me. Because the case remained in Trumbull County Court for the divorce and the children custody, I was then 2 weeks after Judge Beth Smith and Thomas Dawson magistrate gave me the protection order, I was hauled into Trumbull County 2 weeks later. Off record, they told me that I had to dismiss my protection order or risk losing the children. They say it would alienate the father. I told them I cannot do that. It just came to me today, you're asking me to do something and I'm not here for that. They ended up giving custody to the father. Only reason he wanted custody is so that he didn't have to pay the agreed upon child support and that he could continue to hurt me, berate me, denigrate me, and erase me from my children's lives. So when there's funding, Pastor, and I say respectfully to you and your bishop or I
Yes.
I don't know whoever.
To the chair.
Yes, sir. Funding should be equal. We all know what the 14th Amendment and the 5th Amendment is due process clause. The 5th Amendment goes a little bit further and offers equal protections under the law. We don't have any protections for mothers that are victims of domestic violence, although the Ohio Constitution, Article 1, Section 10A, which is Marcy's law, says that you cannot retaliate against a victim of crime. I have no criminal history. I've never been found to be unfit. I've never done a drug a day in my life. I do not drink alcohol. I have never harmed anyone. This would be me, nothing. There's nothing against me. Why am I being withheld from seeing my sons and daughters who over time have been poisoned by their father to the point now they just don't want to see mom? They used to want to come back home begging and crying. In fact, the guardian ad litem on the case admitted that the father punched my oldest son in the chest in the basement and knocked him into the cabinets and told him he was going to kill him. We have children's services, interviewed the children, all of them, and it was admitted in court that this happened. He choked my other son, who tried to intervene and help his brother. He choked him so hard on the sofa that the sofa broke underneath of them. The guardian ad litem said, yes, he confirmed that that did happen. The retired visiting judge, who's supposed to be only a temporary assignment for 30 days on my case, has remained for 6.5 years to be sure that I cannot have contact with my children because I have to make nice with daddy. I have to first repair my relationship with my abuser or I don't get to see my kids. And now the father, being that he's the sole custodian, is planning to take the children to Lebanon where I can never see them again. That's my case is in the appellate court and proceeding on to the Supreme Court. Funding the fatherhood movement would give them the funds to further harm good mothers. They said that they have an uplift woman. There's nothing that they're doing for women. This is all to gain money to help fathers get out of jail on drug charges and criminal charges, and then take the children from the mother and place them with the father.
I don't see that stretch. I feel, and I'm sure on behalf of the board, we absolutely heartfelt the situation that you're in. But I don't think we can compare apples to oranges here. This is an organization that is trying to do positive for young men. There's nowhere in their thing. They did mention fathers' rights, things like that. There are some men like yourself that cannot see their kids for other reasons. Every story is different. Everything is different.
Yes.
And I understand.
Example of that
What's up?
You just talk, Denny.
Well, I'm saying here, we have a nonprofit group that came to speak just to let us know they're here to help out in the community. And it's turning into, this gentleman has nothing to do with your case. It has nothing to
No,
do
he
with
doesn't. I didn't say he did.
your plight. I understand.
But
And he didn't ask for
providing
a dollar.
funding, well, he did, if you rewind the tape, he did say if you had any extra funds to allocate to them, they would appreciate that. Now, a lot of the things that they are doing, their initiatives to help get jobs or this or that, that's good. But to use Fatherhood Rights Initiative money or the county's money, this is the county, you guys don't have the money. It's the people that have the money. And to fund, and I know personally, because I know of at least 7 fathers, which is being included in the case, that have gotten out of jail early on serious charges and then gained custody of the children. This is absurd. We cannot allow that to happen. We cannot fund that. And I'm asking that no funding should be taken from the general public to give to any cause that would get fathers out of jail to take children from mothers.
I just want to say, I've read every word of their handout, and there's not anything in here that says that they do fatherhood rights advocacy. It says that they work to reduce health disparities to allow the parents to work on mental health, financial health, fatherhood, mentorship, and research. It doesn't appear that there's a specific program.
They
I
did
think that-
name themselves that they are part of the Fatherhood Coalition.
well,
You have to,
well, wait.
if you want to give him a microphone, Tim.
That's not in any other.
He did bring it up at the
information.
meeting yesterday. I'll
Yeah,
grant.
I did hear.
In the meeting
hear-
yesterday, he did say fatherhood rights. I did hear that. But
And he
I
said it
took it as the
today.
way I think you intended to be, not we're going after women, we're gonna get them illegally, or we're gonna work the system for our representatives in any way.
Well, if there's an uplift her, which he also said in the meeting yesterday, then they should also be able to have allocation of funds. Because you can't discriminate against male and female. I mean, moms and dads both have the right to see their children as long as they are safe parents.
Yeah,
Okay?
I think we all
That's
agree.
the important.
And
part.
ma'am, there is no allocation of funds. There's none. We are not allocating
We
funds.
were entertaining
No.
anything we don't typically give out of general funds for
Yes.
nonprofit organizations. Sometimes with the ARPA, we were doing that, and that deadline, that ship has sailed. So
Well, the Obama administration put aside $489 million to create this Fatherhood Rights Initiative.
that
There
has
was
nothing to do with
never-
Trumbull County
I'm not
government.
saying that it
Okay.
does. I'm speaking. It's very telling that there was never any funding put in place for a motherhood rights initiative. So where is the equal access to justice? Where is the equal protections under the law? If you're gonna have a fatherhood rights initiative, you gotta have a motherhood rights initiative to protect mothers, especially mothers that are victims of domestic violence. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. I'll be brief. In our meeting yesterday, forgive me if I didn't mention here, I started this conversation stating I am not here seeking funding, and that's not in a negative or braggadocious way. Our company is in 18 major cities across 12 states. Our funding comes from the government, contracts, proposals, and grants. Our Uplift Her does mirror our Mahoney Valley Fatherhood Coalition. I'm not here to get in a debate or what side is which. I'm here as a liaison that fathers of Trumbull County and mothers that need assistance in a variety of areas that I spoke about. Our programs are free. Any male or female can come to our program appointment, no appointment, contact us. You are assigned a career coach, a fatherhood coach, eventually a motherhood coach, a financial coach, and a workforce coach. Today's presentation today was just to introduce who I am and what our company represents here in Trumbull County residents. We are not seeking funding. Actually, to be frank, that funding comes from the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services, where they equally serve male and female, which that conversation can be had on both sides. That's why we don't play favoritism. We serve as a liaison and a coach and a resource to connect individuals, not a cold transfer, but a warm transfer. If you would like, I can give you my contact. We can talk about that. Uplift Her initiative. If you can, I would suggest writing this down. Go to aawellness.org. We have a whole initiative for women that we serve throughout the whole county and the states, and is now going to be transcended to all of our 18 cities, which my colleague and I represents the whole Mahoney Valley, Columbiana, Trumbull, and Mahoney County. But thank you for that information. But if you want, we can connect after here. I wish you nothing but continued blessings and success or whatever outcome that would be. But again, this meeting and introduction today was just showing the collaboration as a team that we help serve this great city of Warren and Trumbull County as a liaison and a team partner for Trumbull County residents, male and female. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, and again, I just want to say I'd be interested, based on what I'm learning about what you do, and looking to see your representation at some level with our workforce development board. So they're over at the building on the corner if you want to stop over on your way out of Trumbull County today. Okay.
And man, we do wish you the best too, on behalf of myself at least. And with your struggles that you have, it sounds like there's been a rough go for you. Okay. Auditor Yoder.
Martha Yoder, Trumbull County Auditor. We received some decisions from Attorney Rogers with regard to some ARPA stuff. And so I went ahead last night and updated some notes for you because I feel like we need to start moving a little faster and this will help that. We had some denials, Bristol, Kinsman Township generator, Kinsman Township sign, Johnson Township sign. Of the above, Kinsman's received $159,000 plus for green space. Johnson has received 3 grants totaling $206,000 and change. Bristol has received no money. My question for you as to proceed is, do you want me to freeze funds for Bristol and ask them to submit another request?
I would say yes, and still I'm a little disheartened that some of these were declined. I understand Tanya is working in the interest of us to make sure we stay within the guidelines.
Yes.
But on behalf, the townships that are getting denied on this thing, I would hope we can work with them and either replace the ask that they have, or if there's anything else that we can do as far as wording wise, or more stats or more things to complete the full picture.
See,
I
it was
did.
pretty spelled out.
Yep.
And if you read the treasury guidance, you'd be able to see what, at a cursory glance, what's eligible and what's not. And if you go back and you follow.
Well, we
We
did approve 5 ambulances and 1 got denied, and I think it's the
Well,
facts they
and-
presented were probably true. But maybe the other ones, we have to look and see how the other ones put them in, because the safety services in this county are leaking.
It was spelled out in the response.
Excuse me, but I'm gonna, if you guys will waive privilege, I will read something from the denial so that it's very clear, because I think the public should understand. Because I understand that, okay, one township gets an ambulance, why doesn't the other one? In contrast.
Versus a decrease.
Correct. I'll summarize a little bit and then I'll quote. Bristol Township's, both their calls, their run calls, and their spending has remained constant pre-pandemic, post-pandemic. It's pretty much, as a matter of fact, their calls in 2019 are the same as their calls were in 2023. So it's been static. The purpose of this money is to mitigate damages from the pandemic. And so if they can't prove damages, it makes it very hard to give the funding. And just because you've mentioned the other ones, I'm going to read the pertinent information with regard to the other request, because she does note that. In contrast, the other fire departments that submitted requests for ambulance funding demonstrated a steady increase in call volume and operating cost, both, which continue to increase from 2020 to the present. The same data is not present here. So my question for the board, I've gotten the answer from Commissioner Malloy, is do we want to freeze those funds and have me reach out to Bristol for a second request? Is that the wish of the board?
Bristol only, because the other ones at least got something. And
Well, I haven't gotten to those, but I will in a second. I'm trying to do it one at a time. Is that, so that, is that your wish as well, Mr.?
Yes, yes, that's fine.
All right. And then as far as Kinsman,
I also think that's important to have a conversation with them because, whenever they, I mean, I hate to say this, but when I've spoken to the trustees about their projects in advance of the projects, they always are eligible because I understand this, but when they're just sending them in without any blindly, without any knowledge or understanding that the funding category that we're looking at allocating has to be in response to COVID and what that criteria is, I'd like to have a conversation with them before.
I have, well, and that's obviously up to you. I have with past ones where we have frozen money, I have submitted to them what Attorney Rogers has made the suggestions that she has made. So that's what I have done, and I have attempted to explain to them about how important the data is. She also, this is not, she doesn't just turn it down if she doesn't have data. She asks them for data. And so, and in the case of the Kinsman generator request, she specifically asked for data with regard to power outages, and they were unable to supply any data. Moving on to my next question on these. For Kinsman, again, Kinsman has received $159,000 plus for green space. Do you wish me to freeze the funds for both the sign and the generator and ask them to submit something else? What is the desire of the board?
I say yes.
Yeah, that's fine. But at some point we're gonna have to, we're gonna have to start cutting this stuff off.
I
you know?
understand.
But they already had a project also, and I think that we should not be spending all this money on Tanya. If I would be willing to look at the applications and see if they're eligible based on the treasury guidance, instead of just sending them all there, wasting time, wasting money. It's frustrating.
Just
Yeah.
moving on, with regard, first of all, with regard to the Kinsman one, the generator specifically was denied because of a lack of data. My thought on that is that perhaps I could work with the trustees to see if that data was available, because to me, the number of power outages is something that's documented within the power company, and they might be able to reach out and get that data. So I would be willing to do that and try to assist them with that, just to, on the generator, and then freeze the funds on the other and see if they have another request. Is that all right with the board?
Yes.
All right. Johnson, as I said before, they have 3 grants already totaling 206,000 and change. Do you want me to freeze money on the sign for them, or do you want me to just go ahead and be done?
The sign's not eligible. I mean.
Right, I understand that. That's,
But
I'm saying freezing the money and asking for another request.
just trying to get my mind around the fact that we had to pay an attorney to tell us something that.
You could look at any of these at any
Yeah.
time before the attorney gets them. She's got them all in the
Right.
portal. There's a whole bunch.
These
more
are,
going.
and these are
Yeah.
requests that,
If
to
you wanna
be
look at
honest
them
with you,
first, look
the
at 'em.
board has put on that list, and I, you're part of the board. So with regard to Johnson, do you want the money frozen, or do we want to just say they've gotten 209,000?
The public records request, Julie?
Yeah, it was a personal note, had nothing to do with this meeting.
And
And I'm allowed to just pass a personal note to someone.
but Johnson has received 209,000 already, correct?
Correct, I'm sorry,
Yes.
yes.
I'm fine with just moving forward. We have to cut this off at some
Yeah, I
point.
think
Okay.
on this one, they got over
All right,
200,000.
thank you.
Fine with.
All right, we had partial approvals on the Levittsburg Train Station Gallery and the Hubbard Historical Society. Do you want resolutions and agreements prepared in accordance with the approvals for next week's agenda?
Yes, please.
We have still pending the Kyler Foundation, which is the Colberg Lake Dam Study and the Veterans Outreach. She has been working on those. It's a matter of trying to get more data from those requesters. Since she is down to these 2, do you want me to submit more? And if so, how many? If you look at your spreadsheet, the color coded, anything that's below The yellow is what we have not submitted. The next ones on there are Eastgate, Farmington Township, 3 from Gustavus Township, Howland Historical. Where would you like me to?
One thing
end?
I'd like, first of all, the Kyler Foundation, she's reached out to the trustee Tedrow a few times and he's not responded back with the info she wants. I know they still have not worked a deal yet with the landowner. It's an official thing that makes that property public. Do we want to continue that one to expend the money for her to review that now when it may or may not be necessary if she doesn't have the info? If she's already reached out a few times, we're being
Right.
billed for that. And until she gets that info, maybe she should pause on that one until she gets all the info
Something
requested.
That's related to them moving forward, they need to know. I don't want to wait on that one because it's time sensitive.
I think, quite frankly, just in my conversations with Attorney Rogers, she's pretty close to what she needs to do. She's just trying to get a little bit more data. And if she gets that, that will change things, maybe change her mind on some stuff. But to be honest with you, she's not getting the data. She's asking for data and instead getting, as I mentioned yesterday, an elevator speech for the project. That's not what she wants. She wants to know, she has specific questions and is not getting answers. At a certain time, I think maybe that it does need to just end, but for now, she's still working on it. She's not expending a lot of time. I don't think stopping it at this point is necessarily productive. I think she can probably come to a decision very soon.
Agree.
Okay.
And then I would I'm looking at what's remaining. We have a lot of them that are outdoor work. I think we need to do the ones that are, one of them is the Gustavus Township Park and Playground. This is the season to be putting things out and getting the work done. So anything that's related to work, there's a culvert work in Fowler. I think they're the ones that are related to outdoor work because this is the season. It's my opinion that those ones should be put through next. And also there's one on here for Gustavus, which is adding the generator. I think that rather than submitting that and coming into the same mess or dead end, that it's better to, because we already know what they're going to say. It's
No, we don't,
Okay,
because if
but-
if they have information and data, it may be
we
different.
already know what they're looking for.
Mhm.
Let me say it that way. Since we already know what they're going to say, what they're looking for, those things I think we should obtain internally before we send it over, just so that they know how it will shape up, you know?
I recommend we stay in the order that we're in. All these have something to do with outdoor, whether it's painting the outdoor, whether it's striping a parking lot. The only one that does on here is senior services at Girard Center, but why it's a $34,000 one. I say we stay in order. They submitted them that way. And it's only fair to the townships that submitted them that they don't be bumped because of another project down the road that when they all have projects that are important to them.
So where are
We
you
s- we-
suggesting that we end?
We submitted 6 last time. Is that
I
correct? Or
believe so,
7?
yes.
Let's do the next 6 in order. Is that okay?
Correct. That's fine. And with regard to the data and things like that for the generator, I will be glad to pass on to Gustavus that they need that data or that data would be appropriate and helpful. And any information that I get in assisting Kinsman with getting the data, I'll be glad to do that. But I do not think it is our job to obtain the data internally for them. I'm glad to assist them, but that's actually what you just said.
The opinion that is shared doesn't need a waiver, because as part of the Council of Governments, it's already agreed that that's what we do. So the opinion that relates to the generators should be forwarded over to.
I'm explaining that to you, that I will be glad to give them that information. As I said, as the board has already asked me to do, I'm going to try to assist Kinsman in getting the information that they need, because that seems to be the sticking point. I will be glad to make sure that they understand that Gustavus understands that they need that information as well. And any information I get that can help them, I'll be glad to share it with them. Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything?
I have something. Were you coming up to speak? Yes. Okay.
Bill Danso from the County Prosecutor's Office. I wanted to come in today because I heard yesterday there was some discussion about obtaining parking for the county, and I was in court. I wasn't able to be at the workshop. But as I listened along, I kind of went through to see what the background was. I see you guys had found a copy of my opinion during the meeting, kind of gone through it. The bottom line is I just wanted to tell you again, you're on the right track. And I hope I don't mispronounce his name. It's not intentional. Mr. Valesky. With all due respect, I think he kind of oversimplified the process as you found it. It's not simply getting reasonable people around the table to come to an agreement. There is a process to it. It's not a complicated one. It's one that, as you guys saw, simply putting together, and in fact, listening to the recording, I think you guys practically hammered it out yesterday. How many spots are you looking for in the RFP? What's the proximity to the building that you're looking at in the RFP? Just simply to see what's out there and then making a decision on, whether what's out there is something that truly is a proper thing that you believe is needed for the county. So that really is really up to your discretion. We don't generally draft RFPs for the board. That's something that either the board or one of its staff members will do. We'd be glad to review the RFP before it goes out to make sure it has all the appropriate stuff in it. But I just wanted to follow up with that yesterday, just to let you guys know. I know you had suggested maybe I could come in and give a brief explanation, but that's essentially it. I think you guys are on the right track, and it's just a question of whether or not you wanted to move forward with that RFP. Doesn't have to be anything complicated in this case, because again, you're not talking an actual building with any real improvements or rooms or space. You're talking about parking, which is, there's a few options likely around this area.
I'd like to move on that. I would like for us to get a second to move forward with an RFP for parking. We do risk every day that goes by losing the closest lot that we have to us. And actually there's two lots behind us that are very close, and I think we need to move on it. If you say we're on the right track with it, and this is something we're gonna have to do, if we want to do that, I would like to move on that if we could.
Absolutely. Yeah, second, yeah.
So do we want to make an agenda item for next week or do something with it now?
Whatever the board's pleasure.
Commissioner?
Was there whatever is done would have to include an appraisal, in my opinion.
It can, like my letter in February said, the board is entitled to hire a real estate appraiser if it believes it's necessary. That's totally up to you guys, whether you feel that's necessary or whether you feel just maybe multiple entities coming together to give you their proposals would give you the best idea. Again, that's the board's discretion.
Man, I mean, at the end of the day, you don't want parking a mile away, it's for this building.
The process is explicitly for the purpose of obtaining one property.
No, it's for obtaining any property that's available, whether it be the YMCA property across the street, Mr. Valesky's property, or other properties that are around the building that we don't know of yet, that are privately owned.
Hashed out in the scope of the distance you want from.
Right. And I think in the
the
scope, it should be
administration
within 2 city blocks of the building, or,
Right.
minimum 30 spots within 2 city blocks.
Can't take action today to approve an RFP that doesn't exist. So that would be something I think you need to move on in the future.
Well, let's move on for next week to get on next week's agenda.
But
We'll work out the wording and get it to you, and hopefully fine tune it at the meeting next Tuesday
Yeah.
and have it for next Wednesday for us to approve.
Okay. The language is okay. All right. I guess I'll wait to see who submits it and how it's.
Well, you can help with it. You don't have to sit there and wait to see who submits it. You can help.
And then the other question, it's lingering. I've asked for past opinions that you've given the Board of Commissioners related to signing resolutions that weren't on the agenda. I've been told on numerous occasions by different clerks that they're not needed, even though it says therefore be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners X, Y, or Z. And to my eyes, that looks like something that would need to be on the agenda. Where is your past opinion saying that it doesn't? Because I would like to have a copy of it.
First of all, I will say I have no idea what kind of resolutions you're talking about. I'm not aware of that.
Things that are like this,
Second of all,
you know, this one actually went on our agenda, but the ones that are, you know, so-and-so worked so many years at this place and did a good job in the community, therefore we resolve.
Celebratory.
my
Celebratory.
recollection is that those have been on the agenda in the
They have
past.
not, there have been
Okay.
hundreds of them and they are
Okay.
not. And
Well, I'm not aware of that. I've seen some personally on the agenda. I
the clerk
used
said
to
that
come to a
you
lot of the
told,
meetings.
the clerk said that the prosecutor's office.
I don't recall that ever being
I
an
have the
opinion
email
that
from her
we,
saying that it's okay.
I don't
Okay.
recall that ever being an opinion that we issued.
All right. I
Could
think
we
that-
ask you for an official opinion then on celebratory, happy
No.
birthdays, congratulations?
Well,
Conover has it because he said he was unaware that this was going on and that it does is something that he's gonna be looking in on to and advising the board on. And I asked him to be explicit with the instructions so that there's a memorandum of law so that the clerk doesn't continue to do something that's a violation of sunshine or the board. Thank you.
I am simply following,
Past practice.
I am.
But past practice, but then to say that Bill Danzo gave you an opinion
I
that doesn't
don't
exist,
recall saying that.
it's in an email, but
Okay.
okay,
Okay. Not recall saying.
thank you.
all I would say is that if you look at the basic statutory authority for the Board of Commissioners, that anything that is an official action of the board needs to be done in open at a public meeting. Otherwise, there's questions about the validity of it. But again, if Mr. Conover is going to answer that in more depth, I'm going to not step on his toes and let him answer. Perhaps he'll come up with, some kind of guidelines that he wants to give you.
This is one of the reasons why I think we should have policies and procedures. Thank you. So until then, I would like to make sure that no more congratulatory or celebration resolutions be entertained unless they are all listed on the agenda. Because that's the way it's shaping up to see that it has to be done.
Or we
and
can do it in a
it's
public
ridiculous.
meeting and a workshop on a Tuesday.
No, it has.
He just said we can do it at a public meeting.
Yes, but it would have to be it would have to be a journalized resolution. So it would have to be on our agenda. Just as this was, we'd have to have them on our agenda.
Attorney Danzo, your thoughts on that? We
Um,
do it at a public meeting on a Tuesday, or does it have to be on the agenda
If it's
journalized?
a resolution, then it would have to be a journalized. A resolution.
Again, I really don't want to get into too much depth on this if Mr. Conover is answering it, and probably to, advise you guys all in a.
I don't know if he's
public
not
meeting
answering on behalf of majority of the board, so.
Well, okay, so the problem is there's a number of nuances to that. I really don't know that in a open meeting is the time for me to give my legal advice to the board.
Understand.
But
I'm
if
just
you-
asking if you could look into it.
If you want to send us down a request by email, we can certainly look into it.
And I guess we'll do that and we'll ask them if a proclamation is the same as a resolution and see the ins and outs of what other counties do. And I'll contact CCAO and ask them what they do with other counties.
Something says, therefore be it resolved that. It's a resolution. It's resolved.
Okay, anybody else have anything? Anybody on the phone lines, Tim, Mark? Okay, seeing
Make a
none.
motion to adjourn?
Hello,
Second.
Mr. Cantala Mesa.
Yes.
hello.
Okay. I guess. Go
Hi,
ahead, announce
and-
yourself, name and where you're from.
Hi, my name is Debbie Magus from Warren, Ohio.
Hi.
I have a question. How many days do Trumbull County employees have to answer public records request?
There isn't a limit on days. It has to be done in in a reasonable amount of time according to Ohio Revised Code.
It
30
should,
days.
Okay, should that be the question for the board and you're not?
I do believe it does say 30
So
days in the ORC.
You are
Well,
supposed.
it depends on the ask as well.
Okay, so we're supposed to have a response back in 30 days, and it could be even saying, asking for clarification, asking to change it, or
Right,
but you have to have, it might not be fulfillment
right.
of the request, but it has to at least be a response that says, hey, we've got this, we're working on it, we have some, and anything, but
Just for clarity, it's not to respond with all the documents in 30 days. You have to respond that you've received it and that you're either processing it or you need to be more specific
or you
about
need
your request.
clarification, or a portion of it's denied because it was written differently, but there's always a way around a denial, and so.
All right, Bill Danso from the prosecutor's office again. That I don't know if the board has a policy of its own that says that, but the legal standard is, as I think Commissioner Cantala Mesa said, a reasonable amount of time. There is no specific number of days that is defined by the revised code of what the response deadline is. It is a reasonable amount of time that can take into account how difficult the record is to recover from storage, can take into account whether or not legal advice is needed. It can take into account a number of factors. So I just don't want, the only reason I came up here to interject is that I don't want the public to have a misconception about what the duty is, because I think it's important. It's, the Public Records Act, Open Meetings Act are important things for the public to have and to understand, and I just didn't want any misconception of it.
Thank you.
Okay, as a follow-up, on April 3rd, I sent a public records request to HR Director Bush, and I have not received a response yet, and I was just wondering how many days it would take.
We have the assistant director here. Would you like to come up and respond?
Rebecca Smith, Executive Assistant. I'm not the Assistant Director. If it was sent to her on April 3rd, I don't get every email she gets, so I'd have to look into that.
Should I send it then to somebody else?
It's the responsibility of the commissioners and with the process, policies, procedures, to make sure that even if someone is not at work physically, that someone is able to still fulfill those things. I apologize that it didn't happen, but hopefully Becky can, now that she's aware that there's a records request on April 3rd, that she'll appropriately address it. Correct?
Hello?
Okay, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hello?
Alex, is
Yes.
that you?
Commissioners, I would like to respond to that.
Yes. And this is, for the record,
Alexandra DiMendenzi, the Human Resources Director. I just want to state for the record that a response was sent back to Deborah on Thursday, April 4th, 2024 at 10:56 a.m. She then responded back while I have been off on FMLA leave. She responded back on, let me see here, April 23rd, 2024. My FMLA leave was effective April 15th, and my out of office instructed people how to reach out to my executive assistant. Any questions?
So is somebody going to respond? I just didn't understand that whole thing.
Well, you just said, ma'am, that nobody responded to your April 3rd email. That is not the truth whatsoever. You got a response on April 4th. Then you sent another response.
You did not answer the question.
Because we didn't have the answers at the time, ma'am. I'll read you my response directly. As of right now, there is not a definitive answer I can provide you, as Trumbull County has many elected officials and departments who do not fall under the commissioners. As of today, the auditor's office has estimated the cost to be $25,000. The estimate may include essential employees that will not be working during the essential eclipse, since we do not classify who is essential and non-essential. We will not have a definitive answer until after 4/8. We can then run a report. If you need additional information, please feel free to reach out. Then it was addressed at a meeting last week, I believe, Martha, Auditor Yoder. Was it not addressed a meeting or two back that $8,000 was expended on the
Okay,
eclipse?
my very first question was, please provide me the total count of all Trumbull County employees. At no time have I ever gotten the answer to that question.
Okay, and I think Auditor Yoder addressed that 2 meetings ago. And again, you responded to me when I was off on federal medical leave. And if you did not, you should have gotten my out of office response as everybody else has. And you could have then reached out to who you were instructed to reach out to in my absence.
Okay.
I got nothing
I'm
other
sorry.
than
I need
whatever
to, I
you.
need to intervene here, okay? If you're making a request for something that is a count, that is not an official public records request. No one is required to run a report, to create a document
That we don't have.
that does not exist. So that response had HR's response said that, then they could have worked with you to craft another request that's more clear so that you could still obtain what you're looking for within the parameters of what a public record is. That is what I would have liked to see happen. But I just want you to know that what you asked for is not a public records request and should have been, sorry, it should have been denied because it's not a record that exists within the county. But that should have been it's our duty to respond and say, and give that information, to let the requester know it is going to be fulfilled. We're working on it. We can't fulfill it. Yeah.
And Commissioner, that's exactly what was said. If you would just listen to what I just read, that is exactly what was said. The problem that nobody's understanding is that response was given to her on April 4th. I acknowledge that she then responded back on April 23rd. Okay. We have to remember I was out effective on leave
23rd, okay.
April 15th. I know that my out of office is on because I get all the read receipts. I can prove all that. So again, I am not there to answer questions. I am on federal medical leave. I respect everybody else's FMLA, and I ask that this office please respect mine.
Okay. Neither
So
here
I
nor
will,
there, but
I will be more than
say,
happy.
What we should be doing is sending whoever the requester is a copy of the public, because there's a custodian of records for the commissioners and anyone that falls under the commissioners, and that they probably should. I'd ask that you make your requests to the commissioner's office because that's where our custodian is.
Thank you.
Okay.
For the record, I would like to just finish with, I don't necessarily appreciate saying that there was no response on behalf of the HR director when I can prove that there was a response. That's all I'm going to say. No employee should have to come on and defend themselves at these times. It is what it is.
Thank you.
Whatever.
You cleared it up, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Nothing else? Make a motion to adjourn?
I'll second.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco. Yes.